outlets on Facebook and on Twitter. But let's get into the action itself then. Well, I think it's fair to say that Clare really needed the points here today, having narrowly lost out to Waterford the last day. Galway, on the other hand, with that good win over the league and All-Ireland champions Kilkenny. Commentator on this first match is Ger Canning.
For today's second Alliance League test, Clare mixed the tried and the tested with a sprinkling of last year's triumphant under-21s. Among the latter are Shayna Morey and Tony Kelly, both of whom are highly adaptable players, while the experience is supplied by centre-back Pat Donnellan, operating alongside current All-Star Brendan Bugler. The visiting tribesmen include their goal scorers from a fortnight ago against champions Kilkenny. Davy Glennon and Niall Healy supplied the first two, while Damien Hayes chipped in with a superb third. They line up today alongside Joe Canning, who scored 6 points in the interprovincial here last Sunday. Significantly, Joe Cooney is named at centre-half back. Up here, as far as Conor Ryan, and Ryan is playing in midfield alongside Nicky O'Connell. Beautifully forward here as far as Shane O'Donnell, and O'Donnell hits his shot and puts it over the bar. Good point by Shane O'Donnell of Era Og here in Ennis. And so it's 2 points for Clare, who've made the perfect start, adding to the point earlier on from a free. Lovely turn here by the elusive O'Donnell, and he put it over beautifully. Comes back once again, this time to Nicky O'Connell. Into the inside forward line towards Shane O'Donnell. Got a point already, causing problems in there for the fullback Kevin Hines, slipping it back here towards Podge Collins, and Collins from a tight angle measures it beautifully and puts it over the bar. One of the stars of the very successful recent Clare underage teams. That's why they're a team that many people fancy quietly over the next year or so to do really well. And onto it comes Joe Canning. And Canning has a shooting chance here, and he ties up the match at 4 points apiece. First time the sides have been level since the start of the match, and Galway have now got the last 2 points from play. Out into the middle here, taken away by David McInerney, young student in Dublin, teacher training college. In as far as Podge Collins, and that one has gone over the bar. 3 players involved. Podge Collins supplies the finish, and now it's Clare who lead by 9 points to 4. All the way up from David McInerney's pass to Podge Collins, and a neat finish. And it's played in here towards Davy Glennon, being marked by Shayna Morey. Comes back here to Ty Carron, trying to make an angle for himself, into Joe Canning, beautifully just, oh, what a pass that was. Johnny Glynn, still Glynn, hoops well, comes back, and missed in the end by Niall Healy. Well, that was an attack that deserved something, and eventually got nothing. There were 3 or 4 players involved. That was a little reverse hand pass there, and Johnny Glynn was on the same wavelength as Joe Canning. Then there was a lovely little intervention there by Brendan Bugler. Eventually came to Niall Healy, and he missed the opening. Once again, it's in there as far as Davy Glennon. It's moved into the corner. Swings it across here. There's work for Niall Healy to do. Gets onto it. His marker there is Donald O'Donovan. Back it comes. They're working hard for it, and eventually that shot drops over the bar off the stick of Niall Donoghue. First point in this league for the player from Kilbeaconty in South Galway, and now it is 9 points to 5. Well, they've got a long time, about 10 minutes since they last scored, Galway. Swept up here by Pat Donnellan. Again, worked forward here, and that shot is a good one. Beautifully over the bar here by Tony Kelly, his first point in this match. He's a very fine young talent. Got a goal and 2 in the last match against Waterford. Wasn't enough, however. They were beaten with a last-minute point by Waterford. Couple of calls there, Niall Donoghue, but Tony Kelly is the one who was hooked. Hooked well by Andy Smith. Smith's after him again, but Kelly gets away. The 2 number 9s, and Kelly scores a beauty. 2 in a row now for Tony Kelly. Real prodigious talent. And as he got away the first time, he was hooked by Andy Smith, and Smith stuck to his task, but the greater determination and class was shown on this occasion by Tony Kelly. Cross here as far as Conor Ryan. Reaching out for it was Johnny Cohen rather, couldn't take it. Instead it's picked up by John Conlon. Didn't score in the first half, anxious to put that right immediately, and he's done precisely that. So a good start to the second half made by John Conlon of Clonlara, and now he makes it 13 points to 8. Up towards Conlon. Caught that well ahead of Fergal Moore. Swings around and belts it over the bar. 2 points at the beginning of the second half by Clare, and they're laying down a marker. Took that one, got away from Fergal Moore, swung right around, and at the end of his spin he scored a point. Well, Galway have made one change, and their fortunes would want to change pretty quickly, looking for their second win in this campaign to add to that very fine performance against Kilkenny. This is Aidan Hart. He's just been introduced. Can he make an immediate impact? He certainly can. He's only on the park about 60 seconds. He got the first point of the match against the All-Ireland champions 2 weeks ago in Salt Hill. This ball was won there just inside the 45-metre line, and it was driven over the bar by Hart from Gort. Here comes Niall Donoghue, lost it. John Conlon had a much better second half, and that's 3 in a row by John Conlon. Well, largely anonymous in the opening 35 minutes, but he has really been tapped up in the second half. Maybe Davy Fitzgerald had something to say to him to encourage him to get more into the game, and he's done precisely that, and his team now lead by 7 points. Galway now trying to get more into this match. Damien Hayes out around the middle of the field. Andy Smith now. Smith hitting it, and it just goes inside that right-hand post and over the bar. First point of the second half for Galway, and it's scored by their midfielder, Andy Smith, who has missed the first match of this league because he was suspended that day. But here now he's made it 16 points to 10. So a 6-point game, and no real sign of any goals so far. That's caught well by Iarla Tanyan. Delivered up there towards Niall Healy. Runs on to Davy Glennon, and Glennon goes down, and that's got to be a free in. Almost in the clear, and he almost had enough time to get it across to Johnny Glynn, who was on his left. He never quite made that pass. Joe Canning is standing over this now, and the referee is making sure everybody's back the right distance, and I have an idea he's got to go for a goal here. He looked across to the sideline for some guidance. Galway are 6 behind. He's having a lash, and he finds the back of the net. 3 points the margin now, and that's a goal and 6 in this match for Joe Canning. 12 minutes into the second half, almost fairly decisively buried. 16 points for Clare. Galway 1 goal and 10. Onto it, here comes Nicky O'Connell. Nicky O'Connell hand passing it out as far as Tony Kelly. Clare could do with a point here, and Tony Kelly can supply it. 3 points now for Tony Kelly. It was a lovely hand pass by Nicky O'Connell on for Kelly, gathered it in and drove it over the bar. Swung back again by Tony Kelly, read well by Johnny Cohen, and then delivers that ball out precisely, out as far as Aidan Hart. Gets away from Pat Donnellan. In it goes to Johnny Glynn, in for Davy Glennon, and Glennon may need a second attempt because it was a very good stop by goalkeeper Pa Kelly. And Pa Kelly keeps Clare in front here by 17 points to 112. Davy Glennon should have scored a goal that time, but he was stopped, and brilliantly stopped, by the Clare number 1. Well, that was a brave piece of goalkeeping. This was a very good build-up here. Glynn in as far as Glennon, out came the goalkeeper, and he dived into that. Well, that was terrific and courageous goalkeeping. Colm Galvin, nippy player, very clever player, Mary I student. In it goes towards Fergal Lynch, and that one is struck over the bar. Fergal Lynch makes his presence felt since being introduced off the bench as a replacement for Enda Barrett. He puts it over the bar, having taken the pass by Colm Galvin, and he makes it now Clare 18 points, Galway 112. All to play for in there. The backs are strong. They try to get it out. Shane O'Morey, helped by Donal O'Donovan. Almost out over the end line, it seemed. And eventually the umpire there goes back, waves his hand, and it's going to be a 65. First of the match. Coming as it does now in stoppage time. About 40 seconds of that stoppage time still to go. 2 points between the teams. Waterford denied Clare 2 weeks ago with the last puck of the ball, puck of the game. Joe Canning goes short. It's won back by Clare. It's Colin Ryan who's soloing away with it, delivering the hand pass into space here. Should have been kept going that time by Jonathan Clancy, but it's back again. Galway need a goal. Johnny Glynn maybe has a go, blocked down, comes back again. Another opportunity by Joseph Cooney, and it's wide. And is that the last chance for Galway to take the points here? Clare have battled strongly all the way through the 70 minutes, and overall they have shown the determination to win their opening 2 points, and the final whistle has gone here in Cusack Park, and Davy Fitzgerald and his young Clare squad have got their first win of this year's Alliance League campaign. Joe Canning finished with 1-9, his goal coming from a free after 12 minutes of the second half, but it finishes at Cusack Park in Ennis with Clare the victors. Final score, Clare 18 points, Galway 1 goal and 30.
That's a very good Galway team, you know, and we got over the line, so we did. Missed maybe a few chances, easy chances at the end that we could have converted, but we got there. Doesn't matter, and it's 2 points in the bag.
I mean, there was the rivalry between Clare and Galway. The conditions were awful. It was a test of character as well.
And it was like the average age of our team, I can tell you out there, was very young, and probably this day wouldn't have suited us 100%, but I was delighted with the fight and the battle and that, and I suppose we got a bit of stick after the Waterford game, don't know why. Waterford aren't a bad team, they're a very good team, you know, and we only lost by a point and we had chances, so we knew today that we'd give it a shot, and we did that today, and we're just happy to get a result.
You could have got something out of the match. Would you have deserved it?
I think so. I think we had a good few chances there, and we were in very hard luck. Davy Glynn and close on goal there after a great display by Davy today, but you know, a couple of goals in the first half maybe as well, and a few points, and you know, the league is awful competitive, and we'd have been looking to get a win here today. I'm disappointed.
When it came to the last couple of minutes there, 65 free before that, were you thinking, uh-oh, it's going to happen again?
No. Listen, the resolve was good today, and we held out. I think they got one clear-cut chance at a goal that our goalie made a great save from. That was all they got today, really. At the end, we held resolute. As you know, there was a serious win there in the second half. We had only 4 points of a lead after the first half. We gave away a few handy frees coming into half-time, which kept them in the game. So it did, and I thought we defended very well in the second half and worked the ball really well.
Oh, Ger Loughnane still with me here, of course, at Cusack Park in Ennis, and looking back on that match, Ger, a good win for Clare, and the crowd have gone away very enthusiastic about what they saw.
Yeah, you see them leaving there in a real upbeat mood in the crowd. You know, a direct contrast, I suppose, to what was here 2 weeks ago. But, you know, when you look at Clare, Michael, they started today with 3 defenders, 1 midfielder and 3 forwards who were under 21 last year, who are playing in their first league campaign. And to see how they play today and how Clare approached the game, you know, physically, you know, I was really surprised. What surprised me most about Clare, I suppose, was how they dominated Galway physically. Even though they look smaller than Galway, their teamwork was excellent. I thought they got their tactics absolutely right. You know, their man marking, for example, Brendan Buckler and Joe Canning, just, you know, kept him out of the game completely. So overall, I think Clare will be really, really happy with that display. And the one worrying thing I would have was that in the game, they dominated it completely, but they didn't create, not to talk a score, a goal chance, whereas Galway got a number of goal chances.
Galway got a goal and those goal chances. Well, now Clare deserved to win the match. I think most people would agree with that. But one or two of the things that Galway might look back on.
Definitely, you know, in the first half, you know, we could say they missed a lot of goal chances, which they did, but Patrick Kelly was brilliant in the Clare goal. He gave an absolute exhibition. I was really impressed by David McInerney at full-back as well, but Galway will look back on this game and say, right, they weren't as sharp as they usually are. You know, their touch was way off, a lot of misplaced passes, a lot of bad handling and all of that. But, you know, because you have Joe Canning in the game, and because he scores so well from the frees, they were in the game with a chance, but they will have to improve. The other forwards will definitely have to contribute a lot more. And when you think that, you know, Jonathan Glenn and David Lennon, you know, new players coming into the team, they too are a bit like Clare, you know. You can't expect too much of them too early, especially on a murky, wet, cold day like today. So I think both teams will go away reasonably satisfied. Clare more satisfied, not just because of the win, but I think more importantly because of the type of display they gave today.
OK, Gerald Glenn, thank you very much indeed for that for the moment. More from Gerald.